Hello, everyone. I am Krista Grotte Saxon, executive producer, veteran actress of 25 years, and I am the creator of Filmmaker Berserk, an online course about the business of independent film and avoiding predatory distributors and business side of filmmaking.
I love it. I'm so excited to have you here today. Welcome to Sunscreen Sessions, the podcast for the Sunscreen Film Festival. So excited to have you here on the 20th anniversary of Sunscreen Film Festival.
Thanks for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Of course,
this
me
has
too.
Been amazing. So.
Is this your first time to be at Sunscreen?
No, I attend every year.
Yeah.
So I love it here. I'm St. Pete all the way, and of course filmmaking here in Florida for the past 20 years. So I always see all my friends at Sunscreen. So it's awesome.
It's a great big family reunion, is how everyone just keeps describing it. So the one they wait for every year. Yes, I love that. So tell us a little bit about your history. I know we're going to get into the business side soon, but I want to hear about your 20 years in the film industry.
Yeah, so I started out about 25 years ago on a short film called Filthy, and I took acting classes in St. Pete at a theater called Venue Theater. Corinne Broscat was my teacher, and I did it for fun. It was like a hobby, and I had so much fun taking the acting classes. So one of our assignments was to go and do an audition for a film. So I was like, oh, okay. So I found one. It was called Filthy, and I played an inbred transient named Pussy. I said, I got this.
I love it.
It was like just fun, you know what I mean? So I went down and I auditioned for the part, and I didn't think anything of it, like they told us. I went back to class and did whatever. And
auditioning's the job, right?
Job, right?
Exactly.
You don't expect to really book it because there's so many people in line to book that role. But I got the part. So they called me and said, hey, we'd love for you to play Pussy. And that became the kickoff for me in the local film community, not just local, but around the country, because the movie, we won 23 awards around the country at film conventions and on the indie circuit. And I ended up going to the Chiller convention, and I was young. I didn't think anything of it. I didn't think anybody would actually see it because it was an independent film. It wasn't like on TV or anything like that. And I'm sitting there, and at Chiller, it's packed. And I'm next to Tom Savini, Elvira. We got House of a Thousand Corpses, Cad. We got people all over the place. And I'm like a kid in a candy store. And I'm sitting there, and there's a whole line of people. And there's people popping up saying my names. Another guy's over here. Hey, will you strangle me? And I'm going, wait, yeah, sure, I'll strangle you. And I'm like, they're saying my name. So I tell Andy, the director, and I said, hey, watch the movie. He's like, yeah, Krista, there's a huge following for this. And I was like, oh my gosh. And that's when it really hit me. I was like, wow, because I had the time of my life working on that set. It was a horror film, and all the effects, and it was like a kid at Disney. You know what I mean? It was so cool.
I love that.
Yeah. So I've been working ever since. And then I leveled up into doing studio films. I've worked on Universal Pictures, Lionsgate Films. And then I executive produced my own movie, and I went into it with rose-colored glasses, just as that young girl on Filthy going, oh, they all saw it, And I thought, hey, the more money we spend, the more we're going to make, and we're going to do good. And it never occurred to me, like all these movies, I thought, why did we not get major distribution deals on these films? I worked on some great movies with some great people, and all great people, and it was. I never understood that. Like, there's such a disconnect here. What's going on? So until after I made Nation's Fire. And once I executive produced that film, and we had an Oscar and Emmy winning cast, Bruce Dern, 2-time Oscar Award nominee, does most of the Tarantino films, Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, and Glorious Bastards, So, and then Chuck Liddell, UFC champ. And I've worked with a lot of A-list talent, and but I've never understood how come, there's never been like a return on the movies until I invested in my own. And I had an Oscar-winning producer who acted as a sales agent. And so I thought, okay, we have a guarantee for distribution. He has, he's put out so many films that we're totally in. And the budget started at $560,000, and I'm going up to $1.3 million because we had to pass through quality control, technical requirements, all these different things that I wasn't aware of. And I'm like, we can't keep spending.
Yeah.
We're going to make something, So it was like really crazy. And then he didn't get the distribution deal, but I realized it was because the budget was so high.
Yep.
Studios don't even pay this for movies, and all the numbers, that's a part of a marketing ploy. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
To get people to come in and see it. So a lot of people think, oh, it made 100 million. We did 300. No. Nobody has the real numbers. The theaters can't even give out the real numbers, you know? And so that's only for the owner of the film. And I know that because I'm an owner of a film, and nobody better share my numbers. That's for me to know.
Yeah,
you know?
exactly.
Yeah. So it's like HIPAA laws in healthcare or whatever. So, so I had to go with a new distributor, and I did. And this distributor, oh Lordy, she pulled the devil out of me. And now I'm here with Filmmaker Berserk.
I love it. That's what I want to talk about. So let's get into it. So from devil to berserk, how did it all start? But first, let's talk about what is it? What is the platform?
So Filmmaker Berserk, it's essentially an online course. And I hate to say that because I look at it as an online portal for film productions. And so the master course consists of every lesson from concept to delivery. And we go over we reverse engineer the process, first of all, so that you have all of the deliverable requirements that you need for your film, legal and technical. And you have to come up with a whole entire business plan before you roll camera.
Yep.
So this is where we go through the process with the plan for distribution first. So that we have different audiences that hang out at different platforms. So if we have a Netflix, is going to be different than Hulu or Vudu. Netflix has different requirements. So you gotta meet that, but then people don't understand the legal and, the chain of title all the way down to certificate of authorship. You have to have all that legal or you won't get paid or you won't get picked up by a distributor. They'll say no. And then technical, if you don't meet that, they love it because then they make their money off of you.
Yeah.
Not streaming, they make it off of you by charging you all these technical fees, and an executive producer is not aware of all that. So they go in and go like, oh, wait, what do I have to do now? What do I got to, and they got to keep shelling out the money. So majority of the money is made off of the budget, and then they never recoup. They never see a return because of self-reporting, and there's, they fudge the reports or say what they want. And it's interesting because I know that I'm meant to be where I am right now. I earned the right to be where I am right now, but I'm meant to be here too, because I work in aviation software development, and I created an application for TNC like Uber and Lyft because there was some self-reporting with TNCs to the airports as they're using their property. And it's essentially the same. So we had to create a solution for airports so that when people are entering their property, because they're having to put up money for roadways and change things, parking lots and all this stuff, it costs you money.
Yep.
And then they're not getting the money from these people, but they're pushing the cabbies out of business who are actually paying to be there and have their insurance requirements and all that. So it's exactly the same system. And I was like, wait a minute. So I'm going to utilize this knowledge and apply it toward what I caught this woman doing.
Yep.
And I see this across the board with filmmakers. And so I essentially am talking about how it's like building a house. If you don't have all the permits, all the legal, you need the chain of title. There's a ton of documentation that you need, some of it that I would have never thought of. And what I did, as soon as I saw the red flags on my production, I said, you know what, I'm going to shadow these mofos. And I'm going to get every bit of business information that I can. I sat in on studio meetings. I listened. I saw how their business process actually works in putting out 12 to 15 movies a year from independent filmmakers. And so I saw the whole process from getting the bank loans, the funding, and how they work it. And then, of course, with distributors and how they work it as well. And then kind of laugh all the way to the bank and leave filmmakers in the dust, taking their art and their creative. And it makes me so sick and angry. And so this is just a whole program designed to mitigate all those risks, eliminate all these costs, and teach you how to build your movie, each movie you do, as a business.
Each one as a business.
Each one as a business.
And I love that. And so Filmmaker Berserk is at filmmakerberserk.com, or how does that? Okay. Yeah. Perfect. Okay. And so they'll go on there. They have the opportunity to first do the class to learn, but then what happens after they do that master class? Is there do you have a communication board? Do people share? Is there a community on there, or what does that look like for the portal?
Yeah, we have a community, but they can also leave comments too on each lesson, because we have like 51 lessons on the master course, and then it entails all the paperwork. So I provide all the paperwork that was on production, including our cost of locations and all the fees that we paid for things, including learning about SAG, because SAG is a whole nother animal. And a lot of independent filmmakers want to do a SAG movie, but they don't know what that entails. That's a lifelong commitment and it's a lot of money. So it's good to understand how this really works and what they're getting into. Whether you do a micro budget SAG film or whatever however you choose to go about it, it educates you on what the best choice, so you can make the best decision for your film.
I love that. No, that's amazing. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So one thing we're talking about here on the podcast is leaving a legacy, right? Because it's the 20th year anniversary for Sunscreen. It's a huge legacy, incredible feat that they've done that. And so it sounds like definitely for you, your legacy is like helping teach and educate these creatives and how to be more business minded. What would you say to that, and like leaving that as your legacy?
You know what? That is absolutely my legacy. Me as a person, I can't, I'm a mama bear. I'm super protective. I will go out and fight like a pit bull, and I can't stand to see the underdog getting hurt. So I want my legacy to be a protector of my community, the people that I love, the people that I grew up with, essentially, and doing what we do. And we've all put so much time, energy, sweat equity, our own money, our heart and soul into creating. And we do not need to accept the title of starving artist. No. And we do not need to accept the fact that, hey, I don't deserve to make money, because I see a lot of people being, you're making money off of this. Hey, I put out 1.3 million. I got 1.3 million reasons for, to share what I'm sharing. And this will absolutely save people from, what we went through. And it's because it's not acceptable, and hopefully eventually put these distributors out of business, and they're going to start changing their game. And I'm going to tell you something. A couple of distributors that I have worked with started paying out people on productions I've worked on.
Yeah. And that's huge. And I think and that's the thing here is, you're passionate, you're excited, you start being this creative person, and then you're taken advantage of. I mean, there is a predatory, you said that at the beginning, there's a predatory environment right now being taken advantage of, because you don't know what you don't know.
Exactly.
And so for someone, obviously the best thing would be to log in and go do the class on Filmmaker Berserk. But what's something you can give the audience for free, and when, to think about, like, what's one way they can protect themselves as a creative?
A way to protect yourself as a creative, number one, is form an LLC for your movie. In all my years of doing films, I've never seen this business aspect being taken care of. So with the producing team and whoever the owner of the movie is, or your investor, or if it's you yourself, form that LLC, because you want to have that, sets you up, and you have to have that anyway to get a distribution deal. So you need to, and that starts your business for your movie. And then you start the bank account, then you can track your expenses, and then you can go from there. So, and hire the right people to delegate for the certain jobs of getting your chain of title. So, I mean, you have to have even, your forms that you've sent it out. You have to have copies of everything, with the post office even. So it's very important that you know what you need, because you can't go back and get it, and you make the movie and then it's on the cutting room floor because they're like, we can't accept this.
Because you didn't have those things in place.
Right.
Absolutely. So definitely getting an LLC is going to be huge. Make sure that you're investigating laws, that you're protecting yourself doing that. Obviously going to Filmmaker Berserk, so that way you could do the full masterclass, the 51 courses. Krista, so I know we've talked a lot about what you do in like the film industry. So outside of film, how do you find yourself? How do you center yourself when you're like the craziness of the gigs and the roller coaster? What do you do to center yourself outside of working?
I do pole.
Oh yeah,
I'm a pole performer. I got a studio I go to, and I just train.
Love it.
And I got poles in my house. I don't really do live shows or anything like that, and it's all appropriate, but I absolutely love it. There's nothing better than hanging from the ceiling.
I love it.
Yeah.
That's so badass.
Thank you.
You're hot. Like, I love it.
So are you.
Thank you. No, I keep seeing those classes all the time on my Instagram cookies, and I'm like, could I do that? Could I climb on that pole?
Absolutely.
I'm 5'2". I'm like, it'd be scurry up there.
Love it. That's why you got them big heels.
Exactly.
Right?
Yes,
yeah,
exactly.
They get you some height.
Yeah, it kicks me off the ground.
That's right.
I love it. I'm glad that you do that. You're keeping yourself centered. And it just, what you're doing for the industry is huge, not only as a female filmmaker, but just filmmaker in general, to create this access to the business side of filmmaking, to protect yourself, to limit that predatory behavior. It's just so incredible, and it's something that the industry needs. Yeah. Like I was saying earlier, with my HR background, I would love to do some leadership development, because you don't, when you're being a creative, you don't learn about business, you don't learn about leadership. Right. You know, you just know you have a passion, you have a story to tell.
Right.
And so, but this is great ways for people to think about the business side.
Yeah, and filmmakers deserve to make a living. You deserve to make money doing what you love. Why would this industry be broke, or you stay broke? And a lot of them accept that, and they're like, well, you know, no. You're valuable. Very valuable.
Yeah. I love that. All right. Well, thank you so much, Krista, for being here on the Sunscreen Sessions. It's been a joy talking to you. Excited to see what Filmmaker Berserk does and all the business you're bringing to the film.
Thank you very much for having me.
Thank you.